Hello, everybody. I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you had a good week. We've got comics, we got games, we got toys, we got a bit of everything for you today. We're going to start out with our first review, which is Suicide Squad Dream Team. Do not worry that there's something wrong with your screen. It is meant to look cool and reflective like this. This is the foil cover. Suicide Squad Dream Team #1, I believe by Nicola Maines, and let's see here. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Maines and Barrows is basically what it says on the back cover. So, comics no longer like to let you know immediately who's writing the book. Might be 5 pages, might be 10 pages, might be the last page. Sometimes it's the inside cover. That used to be what it always was, first page or inside cover. Not anymore. What I can tell you, though, is it's a very cool story involving Dreamer, who is a new hero in the DC universe. You might have wrote it. You did not. There is no name saying Ortega on this cover. Here, I'll even show you all the names right there. There's no Ortega on that cover. So, you did not. Unless you have a different pen name. If you have a different pen name, then it's possible, Mike. Okay, so it's basically the usual rogues gallery for Suicide Squad brought together by Amanda Waller. Here's where things get exciting and awesome. This feels like it will leach itself into the Superman comic books and DC comic books for a while. Because what they're doing is going to Gomorrah Island. And if you haven't been reading a lot of comics, you may wonder, what's Gomorrah Island? Well, basically, a man who was positioned as President Bendix, turned out to be this crazy supervillain, and he built his own army of metahumans that he controlled, and he did that from Gomorrah Island. This was in Son of Kal-El, the Son of Kal-El Superman series. And very formidable enemy, and it's crazy they're bringing that in here. So, they need to use Dreamer, who's actually a hero. And not all the details are there as to how Amanda Waller is working with Dreamer, but there's like a cordial scene of Dreamer in Amanda's office, just like talking to her like a colleague. You know, like when you see her talking to one of the members of Task Force X that's like, you know, or Argus, when you see her talking like the Argus soldier or something like that. So it seems that she's really not, you know, she may not have a bomb in her head. I don't know. I don't have those details yet. But they need to use her because she, with her dream abilities, is going to be able to take a team of 6 members of the Suicide Squad behind these enemy lines in Gomorrah Island and basically do the deed that Amanda Waller wants. Now, we don't know exactly what that is, and Amanda Waller isn't always forthcoming and isn't always either honest or credible. There's this really powerful scene in here where, sadly, the person they use as a conduit, who is asleep, they use him as a conduit, but it was never possible for Dreamer, who recently got her powers and realized she had her powers, to take that many people along with her. So basically, the 6 people was an overload, and it killed this person. And Dreamer is shocked and looking at this person and feels terrible, and she's like, this is my fault. And Harley looks at her, because Harley Quinn is part of this group, as you can see on the cover. So is Clock King, and insanely enough, Bizarro Superman. Bizarro Superman is part of this team. Well, Harley is like, first dead body? You know, like actually compassionate. And Dreamer's like, no, when my powers first manifested, first time when I was like 15, I ended up seeing my mother's dead body. And it's this really interesting moment because here you have this, like, you know, new hero among thieves, right? Among villains. And this is going to be a complete shock to the system for Dreamer, okay? And towards the end of the book, Dreamer has this moment in dreams that is like revealing reality and where things are headed, and terrible death and awful cataclysms, all involving Amanda Waller. So very good, a very good book, especially a first issue. There's a moment where you see like visions of Bizarro running amok and just like taking people by the head and just crushing their heads two at a time. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. But right now it looks like Amanda Waller is about to bring all this terribleness, and even more terrible than the things Amanda Waller usually brings, like possibly catastrophic. So very interesting book. I highly recommend it. There's only 4 issues in this series, but in the solicitation for the book, they let it sound like everything in here would bleed through into the DC universe, and I truly believe that. Like, for all we know, this is Dream Team, let's see, Countdown to Absolute Power. So maybe Suicide Squad Absolute Power, maybe that'll be the name of the series. I don't know. But yeah, this was very good, and I do recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the Suicide Squad. And like I said, you get Harley, you get Bizarro, and Dreamer, who, like I said, a newer hero and very cool abilities that Dreamer has. Okay, everybody, that is our first review of the day, or of the week, actually. I don't do this daily. That'd kill me. The next review we have, this will be coming up later in the episode. I've decided to start doing this where we bring up what the next review is going to be, and I won't have a big preamble each time. I've only done this once or twice this way, so Bam and Dylan Dog. That'll be the second review at the end of the episode. Okay, everybody, let's talk about video games. Okay? And everyone's favorite game, the game they have now built statues of, that people worship 24 hours a day. They worship this game. It has become a new god. Not like the DC new gods, but like a new god to worship. Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Helldivers 2 experience I had last night. Okay. And it can easily be summed up with, not only is Helldivers 2 unfriendly to single player, like you can't do it. Like, if you're really lucky and the insects aren't, just a nightmare that you got terrible spawning of them and stuff like that, you land in a decent place to start with. Maybe on level 1 or 2, trivial or easy, you're going to be able to get through the mission. Okay? Maybe. Now, however, without an actual team, the game is a nightmare. I was kicked twice from random games last night, and no idea why. Ended up shooting a lot of bugs, didn't accidentally kill anybody. Someone in that team accidentally killed me, like a minute and a half from starting. I know it wasn't like a weird vendetta or one of those, goofy, weird things that people do in the game, because it was, that time and that was it. But then like 2 or 3 minutes later in that mission, all of a sudden I was kicked back and it said I was actually kicked from the game. So that happened twice. Now, I don't know exactly if it's because they didn't like the character build I had the items and weapons I had. The one team that kicked me was weird in that they had people of all different levels. Like they had someone that was a level 5 cadet. I'm not bragging. Trust me, I'm not bragging. I'm a level 10 cadet. But like they had a level 5 cadet. So it wasn't based on that they just wanted like the hardest core, highest level super citizen soldier. It wasn't that. So I don't know. I just ended up getting kicked. And as I saw, it didn't look like they had their comms open or anything. So I have no idea why. I don't know. So found out none of my friends were playing last night. It had those issues getting kicked. So I went back to Metropolis. Okay. And I had fun shooting down drones, raising hell, and relearning Deadshot. It's been a while since I played as Deadshot, and I had to kind of relearn how they play. I also nabbed some Riddler trophies, and I solved some of his location riddles. So that made me happy. There were like 2 that I was scratching my head over, and I was like, okay, how exactly do I do this? And I figured them out. The one I haven't figured out, though, I have to say, is the one about like candles burning on both ends, halls of learning. I would think it was Metropolis University, but I've tried every angle of Metropolis University, every vantage point. It doesn't seem to be Metropolis University. So I do not know what that riddle is. Hey, Doom, how you doing? So yeah, I have no idea what that riddle actually is. But the game is still fun chaos. I've always said it's a fun game and it's full of chaos, and it still is. But when the chaos involves not being able to log in or locked mastery levels, it's not quite as fun. Those fixes need to be in place before Joker and Season 1 launch on March 28th. Because otherwise what will happen is the people that have played the game will probably brave the game and its bugs and issues to check out Joker. And hopefully Joker is gangbusters and the update is gangbusters. Because if they come across terrible bugs with Joker, they're probably gone forever at that point. And then you're starting over. The new people that are like excited to play as Joker, right? They'll come on, and then if this persists with the second character, they're probably out forever. It's kind of like a repeating cycle. I definitely don't think people that jump in for Joker that haven't played the campaign and are going to be playing that around the same time and everything, I don't think they'll immediately jump ship. I do think a lot of the people that have had issues since launch will. And maybe in the back of their mind be like, oh, Deathstroke is coming eventually. I'll come back for that. And if the game is still offering updates and content, then yeah, maybe people will come back to play Deathstroke. Again, that's rumored to be Season 4. Mastery is still going up. Not real high yet, though. Well, yes, it's good to see you, Crinky. Basically, it takes a lot to raise mastery. Like, and I'm not bragging, okay, but I kicked some ass in one of the incursions. And even though I did that, I raised what do you call that? The finite, the finite season or whatever. I raised that 1 level. One. Finite Crisis. Raised it 1 level. So it's slow going. And I am not certain if Raising Hell does it. It might only be the 3 incursions and maybe Brainiac. I don't know. Okay. Also, everybody, I played Unicorn Overlord. There's a really cool demo. It's like 5 or 6 hours. It's on PlayStation, Xbox, I think Switch and PC. I think it's on everything pretty much. And it's a gorgeous looking hand animated strategy game with auto battler features, meaning when you actually get into a battle, all the decisions you've made, all the strategy, all the tactical things you've done to that point is how that battle will play out. You do not control the battle. It's built around the characters you have in your unit and then their abilities. It's kind of wild, actually. But it looks gorgeous. Again, it's hand-drawn animation from Vanillaware, which is a company known for making games like Dragon Crown, Odin Sphere, these really impressive visual knockouts, okay? But not just visually great, like the games are really good too. Rotating through the incursions, upping mastery high each one, raises finite level decent. See, I'm trying to figure it out, because a lot of times what happens is I get into the routine of like, oh, let's shoot down some drones. Let's shoot down a few drones. Let's go do some raising hell, right? And then let's look for some riddles. That's usually what happens when I play the game. And no, I sadly don't have all the riddles yet. I have half of the trophies. I have like half, I think, of the traversal based ones, and a little less, I think, than half of the ones that are based on locations, where you like basically zoom in and that's the riddle. Okay. And here's the thing though, with Unicorn Overlord, I like it, but I usually don't play strategy games. I usually don't. So I don't know if I'm in for, while I'm in for a 5-6 hour demo, and I think it's really cool, I don't know if I'm in for a 60-hour game like that. So I don't know. I think people that love tactic-based games are absolutely going to love it. And it's going to be like a Game of the Year nominee for those people. But like for me, I don't know. I don't know. I'm tempted because it's so gorgeous and there's just this cool feeling in the game that's like different than in like Fire Emblem or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. My past history with like something like Fire Emblem, I'll get about a quarter to halfway through and then just jump to another game. Because again, I'm not big on strategy games. So, not because it's not good. It's just not my cup of tea, as they say. No, that's okay, Crinky. Okay, and everybody, some big game news. Early on the morning of Monday, last Monday, as in 2 days ago, Multiversus is going to be launching on May 28th. So we had that announcement and roughly a 3-minute video, which gave us some really cool info. It's going to be launching May 28th with a new engine, Unreal 5, and a new mode, PvE. The devs also promised quite a few surprises to be announced before then. Powerpuff Girls, Pinky and the Brain, and Animaniacs look to be featured as well. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. How does everyone feel about Multiversus? I've heard a lot of differing takes. I guess, you know, I always thought it was weird because it seemed like the game actually did launch, but apparently it always said it was in beta. I'm just not used to a beta game up and disappearing. Because usually when that happens, right, if the beta disappears, it's because, oh, it was a weekend. It was a week. You know, it was a set amount of days at the very beginning. But I think they got through, like, I think 2 seasons, and they dropped a number of characters that people, I believe, actually, some of them paid for. So it just seemed like a really weird thing to me. I do think, though, that going to Unreal 5 was a great idea, and not as showy unless you're a big fan of fighting games, but they redid the entirety of the netcode as well. That might be why they had to leave for almost a year. That and the Unreal 5 are pretty interesting undertakings for a game. So, and I am looking forward to the Animaniacs. That'll be insane playing as them. Pinky and the Brain. They can do so much with them. I definitely like the Powerpuff Girls, but all three of those different characters and everything, or different character groups, we'll say, I prefer the former to the latter. People hate it. See, I know, right? I also thought that people completely hated game as a service. But then someone basically leaked 2 trailers, not 1, but 2, that are polished and look finished for a Spider-Man multiversal multiplayer game called The Great Web that got canceled by Insomniac. And everyone is crestfallen and sad and upset. But again, yeah, I agree. I thought everyone hated game as a service. I thought game as a service was a scourge of humanity. I thought that game as a service went out at night and took all the apples from your apple orchard. I thought that game as a service did that thing where, like, when you buy a new toothpaste, you have that little, like, tin part, like, little sticker thing on the top, and it's not there, and you're worried it got tampered with. I heard games on a service did that. Games with a service did that. That's what I heard. I heard when you stub your toe in the middle of the night, and you're like, but you can't really scream because you don't want to wake up anyone in your house. Games as a service did that as well. I've heard all these things. So they must be true. And Helldivers 2 doesn't get any flack whatsoever. I will say at least I wasn't crashed yesterday. Why I was kicked out of 2 games for, again, not doing anything wrong. I didn't crash. So that's a good sign. That is a good sign, I have to say. To me, it just feels like this big game as a service double standard, you know? And I don't quite get it. It was like there was a vendetta, a hate campaign against Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and now every other game as a service, including Multiversus, is welcomed with open arms. Like, some people were upset, again, because they didn't realize it was a beta. But, like, other than that, people are very much looking forward to May 28th when that drops. So. Okay, everybody. We are done with video game news, unless someone else has something to say quick. I'm very interested in seeing Multiversus on Unreal 5. Like, load time should be really good. Frame rate should be amazing. It should look really good. Also, too, apparently they redid a number of animations and new abilities for, like, each existing character. So I don't know what that means, brand new abilities, or if they adjusted abilities that were existing. I'm not quite sure about that. Okay, everybody. Now it is time for us to toy around. We're just going to toy around a little bit. First up, we have a callback. But there's a reason I'm doing that callback. The Plastic Man series from McFarlane Toys. It's the Build a Figure series of Plastic Man. And I mentioned the characters, there they are. Aquaman, John Stewart, Green Lantern, Blooper Man, Blue Superman, and Batman. And like I said, the Batman is kind of a mix of, like, 89 Batman, but not like Michael Keaton. I think it's neat. I like the Batman. I think that's really cool. I never really got into the whole Superman Blue, Superman Red story arcs. That wasn't really for me. I kind of tuned out actually when they did that. So I think everything else though looks really good. It's a really cool Jon Stewart. The Aquaman, I'm not the biggest Aquaman fan, so I still think it looks pretty nice though. But the kicker is this. I don't like enough of those 4 action figures to buy them to build Plastic Man. Although the Plastic Man, if you actually see the pictures of him, like all the pieces he comes with and everything are really nice. If you're a big fan of that character, it might be the best 6 to 7 inch Plastic Man action figure you can get. The reason I'm showing this is a callback. Pre-orders went live today. So you go like to Amazon.com, I believe at Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store. Those places, pre-orders are live, $24.99 a piece. So, okay. Next up, we have a throwback to, I believe, the 90s. I was thinking the 80s, but I think it's actually the 90s. Street Sharks. Street Sharks pre-orders are supposed to be going live on Friday. The 30th anniversary of Street Sharks, and they are coming back. This is my favorite. This is the one that I liked, the design I liked for the Street Sharks when they came out. I wasn't the biggest fan of them, but I always thought this was a really cool design. And of course he comes in the plastic cage and it looks like he's breaking out of the bars. I think it looks really cool. I think they're retailing at like $24.99. I don't know for sure. But yeah, it's a Mattel 30th anniversary Street Sharks. First availability for pre-orders is supposed to be the Walmart Collecticon starting tomorrow. But the pre-orders are supposed to supposedly go live on Friday, like everywhere. So, okay. And that's not the only Street Shark I have. I mean, if it was, it would be more like Street Shark, not Street Sharks. You couldn't have the S in there. It'd be illegal. It'd be lying. So here's the other Street Shark I have. Plus, they also have a character I believe is the villain. And I apologize, none of the solicits had in the names for these characters. Just that Street Sharks were going live with pre-orders. I believe, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I think Mattel did Mask. It might have been Kenner. I'd have to check. Maybe it was Kenner. But I would love a 40th anniversary, I guess, of Mask. I think it would have to be. It's a toy series I loved as a kid, but one of the only ones that never had a renaissance again. Like, just about everything has come back. Like, at one point, Strawberry Shortcake came back. Transformers came back. It never left. I want to say 2020 it was. G.I. Joe Classified started. Like, you know, these toy lines keep coming back, and a lot of them are very popular, but, like, no love has been shown to Mask. And I do find it disappointing. As a kid, that was one of my favorite toy series. Yes, but they're very expensive, Crinky. So those are Ultimate 7 figures or 7 Ultimate. I forget what they're called exactly. They're collector figures. They're like $55 a piece. And they did a original run of characters with like plastic bodies, and then they did vacuum metal bodies. Yeah, so I don't know if they have everyone out now. They have most of them, I know. But yeah, it's like Series 7 Ultimate or 7 Ultimate. They also did Turtle figures. They did really good Simpson figures, including a Hank Scorpio that just came out. Over 2 years, people had pre-orders. The Hank Scorpio just came out. I've heard it's great, though. I've heard it's a fantastic figure. If you'll remember, real briefly, in The Simpsons, Homer goes to this island to work for this guy who's like just too good to be true, played by Albert Brooks. And it turns out he's like a Bond-type villain, almost like Blofeld or something like that. Hank Scorpio. And it's a hilarious episode. And they have a figure for him that they did that's really nice. Okay, so that's the Street Sharks. Then we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Second Sister, Cal Kestis, and a Purge Trooper 6-inch 3-pack, $74.99, and I believe it's an Amazon.com exclusive. Goes live tomorrow. So I definitely wanted to show that. I very much like the Jedi games, Fallen Order and Survivor, and I think these are really good takes on the character. And $75 seems like a lot, but that is the going rate of a 6-inch Star Wars black figure, $24.99 roughly. Some are more than that. It depends on the character, I guess. But yeah, I thought that looked really neat, and I definitely wanted to show that. Give me 1 second here. And everybody, that means we are done with toying around for this week. Oh, don't worry, we'll toy around next week, but this week we're done. So, that means we are going to look into a non-existent crystal ball, okay? Into the future. We are going to look into the future of comic books. All the way to 1 week from today. Okay. And first up we have World's Finest, number 25, supersized issue, Batman Superman World's Finest. And I have 2 covers I'm going to show, because like I mentioned before, sometimes these books will have variant covers, and I like to show those off because they're just awesome looking. And I very much liked this one. If you see, you even have Clark turning into Superman, running into a phone booth at the bottom of it, and you got Batman and Superman above that. I think it's a really cool looking variant cover, and basically it's going to be when Superman met the Joker for the first time. Also, the secondary story that it comes with is going to involve something called Doom Might. And Doom Might, which I guess is something like a mix between like Doomsday and Batmite, I honestly don't know, is going to lead into the next story arc for Batman Superman World's Finest. So they're actually looking at this issue 25 like an event. There isn't just like 1 or 2 variant covers for this issue. There's like 6, including one with William Shatner. Okay, so there's this one right here, and this one. This one's almost like an optical illusion. Birds and bats, Superman and Batman. I think this is another really good variant cover. And keep in mind, the variant covers are usually on thicker paper, almost like cardboard. It's definitely different paper than they use for the covers of the regular comics. And it's about $1 more. It's about $1 more. But they basically hire a who's who of incredible artists to do these variant covers to entice us. Yes, I look forward to that too. I look forward to that too because Mark Waid is writing it. And Mark Waid did a crazy thing in Batman Superman World's Finest, basically going back to the time and the events of like Kingdom Come in a recent arc in this book. So it's very cool. It's very cool. I think this is one of the best Batman or Superman books going right now. And you get both of them in it. Batman Superman World's Finest, number 25. Okay, everybody. Next up we have X-Men Forever, #1, with an incredibly grisly cover. So basically, this book takes the place of one of my favorite X-Men books, Immortal X-Men. And it is there to answer questions and basically continue threads from that book, as well as take us into the future and look at the powers of X and the House of X, the fall of them. So, X-Men Forever, #1. Written by Kieran Gillen. And no, not the actress Karen Gillan. Two separate people. Kieran Gillen, one of my favorite comic writers, actually. And, yeah, comes out next week. We also have Superman #12. Feast your eyes on this Lee Bermeo variant cover. Lex Luthor, okay, in his super suit, his Kryptonian or kryptonite suit, holding a piece of kryptonite, and Superman dying on the cover. This series of Superman has been very good. It's been awesome. I believe it's Joshua Williamson writing it right now. It's been great. This is issue 12, so it's still kind of like, you know, you gotta definitely check it out. I definitely recommend it. But I love that cover. I absolutely love that cover. I like Lex a lot. Yeah, Lex is actually one of my favorite Superman villains. So when I found out that the game Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was going to have Lex and Brainiac, I was thrilled, because those are like my two favorite Superman villains, besides like Zod. So yeah, I'm very, very happy when that happened. Okay, so we got that, and that would just be the entirety of the future of comic books next week. Like, there's other books coming out, but these are the ones I wanted to kind of point out. I also do want to mention, honorable mention, Kill Your Darlings #7, a wild horror fantasy book that starts at the Salem witch trials and follows a witch throughout history and her kid, who basically made a fantasy world to escape into as a child. But now that they're older, that world is seeping into ours. It's been very good, but I didn't want to actually show the cover and go into full detail because it's issue 7, and I just found out it's only 8 issues. Now, I believe it's quite popular, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did another volume, but I always feel weird where it's the second to final issue and I'm like, hey, check out this book, you only have 6 issues to buy. So they'll probably do a trade. It's Image Comics, so they're usually pretty quick at that. I would guess they'll have a trade out probably in May or June, so pretty soon. But yeah, Kill Your Darlings. It's been very cool. I've read the first 4 issues, so. Okay, now everybody, it is time for our last review, okay? Our final review of the week. And like I mentioned earlier, it's Batman Dylan Dog #1. And no, nothing just fell. That didn't happen on this live video because I'm a professional. Okay, so Batman Dylan Dog #1. First off, I want to say I think it's 48 pages. It's a big book. You're getting your money's worth. $5.99 too, and it's got that nice thick cover I mentioned earlier. So this might be a variant. I'm not sure. Although with the size of the book, maybe they didn't print it with a regular cover. I don't know for sure. But basically, Dylan Dog is in London, and he's dating Selena Kyle. The Joker, okay, is in London and looking to meet Dr. Zabaris. Now, what they've done in here, and I don't think it's actually canon, is have it be that Dr. Zabaris is the doctor slash plastic surgeon that saw Joker after his accident. And he's the one that healed slash repaired his face. Well, he's also involved in trying to do terrible experiments to make people immortal. And Dylan is able to escape and has information that Batman wants as he's trying to track down and stop the Joker in London. So Batman and Alfred are in London, and they're trying to basically find out what the Joker's plan is, what's going on. Meanwhile, Joker is there to see Dr. Zabaris, and he's teamed up with Killer Croc. Now, it's really great because you find out like right away that Dylan Dog and Batman do not like each other at all. Dylan distrusts Batman because he's rich, and in his his experience that trusting rich people that have like all this time on their hands and everything is not the best idea. And then Batman doesn't like Dylan because he doesn't quite understand him, and at one point Dylan pulls out a gun. Dylan does carry a gun, and Batman's very anti-gun. But as Dylan says, these are the undead. This is also a Batman that doesn't quite understand the idea of ghosts and vampires being real. This Batman is at some point in his career where he's not used to the supernatural like Dylan is. So the artwork is beautiful. It is very colorful, and it kind of jumps off the page, to be honest with you, and it looks modern and retro at the same time. And if I haven't sold you on this, I don't know the reasoning yet, but Dylan Dog's partner, as he basically goes on these ghost and vampire and supernatural detective type missions, is Groucho Marx. So you have Groucho Marx making all these insane comments to Dylan, to Batman, even the Joker, and that's absurd. And yeah, this is very good. Like I said too, it's going to probably be a pretty huge story arc because this is issue 1 and it's like 48 pages. So I don't know if this is going to be like 4 of these or what. But even 2 of these means it's like 90 pages, something like that. But yeah, I very much like it. I think both these books were actually really good. If you're a huge Batman fan and you want to check out Dylan Dog, that's an interesting thing too, because like the Dylan Dog character, it's like originally was like a Italian comic book, an Italian horror comic book. And, you know, there's a whole history there. Well, this is an easy way to kind of sink your teeth into the character while, you know, having him with a Batman and Joker story there as well. That, you know, does definitely, probably more than dips its toe into supernatural events. Okay, everybody. I want to thank you all very much for watching this week. I want to thank you very much for watching any episode or even just a minute of this show. Thank you very much. Let's see here. You can see me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. Again, I don't know why you would want to put yourself through that. But if you do, I'll be playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm finishing that. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. If I could find people to play with, Helldivers 2. Those games, those are like recent ones. And I want to very much thank Doom Squad Gaming and Doomkiller HD for letting me borrow this channel to do this show. Thank you very much. And I hope all of you have a great week. And I'll be seeing you. Bye-bye.